Everyone, so in today's video, I am so very excited because we are talking about the new Merit Signature Matte Lip formula, which is their newest formula. I have loved the original Signature lips from Merit really since its launch. It's a really lightweight, comfortable formula that becomes one with the lips. You don't really feel like there's this huge line of differentiation between the texture of the lipstick and your lips, which I really appreciate in an everyday lip product. The shades are incredibly unique. There's some of my favorite shades out of my entire collection of makeup. And they're also buildable, so they're not just a full pigment satin lipstick, which you would think more satin lipsticks would be on the sheerer side or, be more of a buildable color. I find that a lot of brands tend to come out with more fuller pigment satin lipsticks. When these released, they felt like a breath of fresh air, not just because of these shades, but because of the texture, the buildability, and overall the formula. But all of that's really to say is that I have really high expectations for these new lipsticks from Merit. So if you're new to my channel, hi, my name's Amanda. I love doing more detail-oriented reviews here on my channel. Really, at the end of the day, it's not about what I like, it's about me being able to help you all find what's right for you. So I hope the video is helpful. Make sure to give it a little thumbs up if you enjoy it. Subscribe. You guys, let's just talk about these lipsticks. Today's video is something between a first impression and a full-on review because I asked you all if you wanted to see a first impressions video like ASAP, and that is what won the poll. However, me being me, I really had to get as much testing done as I possibly could with these. So this is what Merit sent to me. They sent me 4 of the shades, so I don't have all of them. However, I do have the shade Court that has been ordered and is on its way to me. It's this beautiful brick red shade, and some of you probably already know me and a bricky warm red. It's one of my favorite shades to purchase, so I did buy that one. Here are the 4 shades that I have at the moment. I have the shade Antibes, the shade Maison, Classic, and Power. Not much to really report about the packaging of the new matte versions. The same package except in a gray tube rather than amber color that the original comes in. The bullet is still the same, and what I really like about the shape of the Merit bullet is it's flat, but there's a bit of an angle, which I really like to get a little bit more precision. You'll see how I use it in some of the demos that I'll show you guys. I find that it makes application really easy. No smell to the lipsticks whatsoever. Just is really important to note, and kind of a distinction about these lipsticks is when you go onto Merit's site, these are listed within the Merit Signature lips. What I think Merit is really trying to lean in on here is that the Signature lips are a lightweight, kind of everyday lip color. So whether or not you want a satin or a matte, they have that for you. And when you go onto the site, hydrating, buildable, and lightweight is listed under both the matte and the satin version. But how similar are these formulas really? What is this new formula like? I'll throw up some of the demos that I have for you all. I think I first want to start off with the shade that I am wearing today, which is the shade Maison. It is this absolutely beautiful mauve shade. What I find particularly pretty about this mauve is it does feel not quite as cool toned as a lot of mauves lean. And I think that makes this very fresh looking. Honestly, it is kind of my perfect shade and by far my favorite shade out of the Signature mattes that I have tried. I found the formula of this product to be pretty surprising. I wasn't sure if this was going to be an incredibly silicone heavy matte formula just because it feels like a lot of brands that want to come out with the kind of buildable matte lipstick are leaning towards this more really slippy silicone balm lipstick kind of formula, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but unfortunately what happens with those formulas sometimes is they almost create a line as you keep wearing them, a line between the actual lipstick color and the kind of like inner part of the lip. Like the silicone goes a little bit white. You've experienced that, you know exactly what I mean. So in general, that was like the first thing when I started doing wear tests of these that I was on the lookout for, was that kind of odd kind of ring on the lips. And I'm happy to report that this does not do that. And the reason being is that this is not an ultra silicone heavy formula. It definitely has a blur, and it is, say it's a little bit more on the medium pigmentation side. It feels something between a very vibrant matte lipstick and a Glossier Generation G. It sits a little bit in between these kind of touchstone formulas that I feel like brands are kind of going to either end of the spectrum at this point. These feel decidedly like a lipstick and not like a blurring lip tint. Really, a lot of brands are coming out with these kind of blotted lips. These have more pigmentation than these typical blotted lip matte formulas, but not so much pigmentation that I would necessarily categorize these as like a product super similar to like the Gucci matte lipsticks, which I think have even more pigment. What's really nice about the amount of pigment that these have is that they still feel effortless. What I'm finding particularly really pretty about these matte lips is how they sink into the lips, almost to look like that perfect faded lipstick look that just happened to fade perfectly. What I look for, especially when we're talking about more no makeup brands, there's so many lipsticks on the market. What I was really hoping for with this lipstick formula was something that felt like an elevated, more polished no makeup lipstick product. And I think that they have created that. I am particularly interested in seeing how the other shades are. Like the shade Equestrian and Court, those were like two shades that I absolutely wanted to try, and I have a feeling I'll probably pick up Equestrian too, which is this really gorgeous brown color. But anyway, I think why these read as very effortless kind of no makeup matte lipsticks is because of the thinness overall on the lips. There's a blur, but it's not too much blur either. They do feel like the matte version of the signature lips. And earlier, I had a lot of Panda Express. And I was very surprised with the wear of this product as well. Again, when a matte lipstick formula has too much silicone, it is very easily broken down on the lips, which is why it gets that kind of ring that I was talking about before. Because this isn't, and it almost kind of sits so closely on the lips, I find that it kind of does a better job of truly adhering. I will say though, as far as like, is this a non-drying formula? I don't find it to be drying, but it is also lightweight. I don't think this is a matte formula that feels hydrating. Like they call it hydrating. I'm sorry, I don't think that it's hydrating. I don't think a lot of matte lipsticks are truly like hydrating. It's lightweight and it's comfortable, and I don't feel like my lips look extra crackly. But again, I just think that that's like an important piece for you all to know. Like I still feel like I needed to prep my lips for this. Like I have a couple of like little crackles in my lips because, as I've mentioned before, I have chronically dry lips. It's still pretty cold here where I am. So I still personally feel like this is a lipstick product that if you really intend on building it up to its full pigment, you should prep your lips. I wanted to do a few shade comparisons for you all too, between the satin and the new matte. Just so you guys could see like some with similar undertones, or ones that I thought people might online feel like are similar, but they're actually not. For example, I thought that Power had a good chance of being pretty similar to the limited edition shade called Aperitif, but they are very different. So I'll leave some of those up for you all. Hopefully that's super helpful. And as I continue to get more shades, I'm happy to keep giving you guys these natural light demos. And I think truly there is a magic in the shades that Merit chooses that makes these lipsticks a little bit different. They feel like everyday lip colors or ones that people want with these little bits of sparkle and these little bits of uniqueness. For example, the shade Antibes, beautiful peach shade, but I think a lot of brands do this in more of a beigey, warm peach kind of way. I think it's very unique, even though, again, like I said, it's not necessarily my shade. And again, the shade Maison, which is on my lips today. Again, it's decidedly a mauve, but that little touch of berry, I think actually really livens up the shade. And hopefully you guys can see the way these go onto the hand, that they're very smooth. They have a bit of a blur, like these aren't absent of silicone, I should say. Like you will still feel this kind of silicone touch of a blur, but they're not overly creamy, slippy silicone-y. Like to me, this is restraint. And that kind of restraint with the amount of pigmentation, with the amount of moisture, the general finish, the way the shades were produced, that bit of restraint and just how everything feels very careful and fine-tuned, that was the feeling I got with the original Satin Signature lips, and that is also the feeling that I get with the matte ones. So all of that is to say is that yes, I'm definitely happy about this new launch from Merit. I think that these are great. I'm ready for the shade Court to be here, because I feel like once I get that shade, it's lights out. That's gonna be like the only lipstick that I'm gonna be wearing. And Equestrian too. I know I keep saying that, but like these shades look freaking incredible, you guys. It almost gives me a bit of like a lip stain effect just because it's so thin. Like, I don't know, this doesn't necessarily, when I'm using this on the lips, because it's more buildable, when I've applied it and I'm kind of just like wearing it as normal and letting it sit on my lips for a couple of hours, I'll look in the mirror and it just looks like a beautiful stain. Just texturally, the way it goes onto the lips, really nice, even application, lightweight. You kind of forget that it's there without it being a lightweight, sucking every last bit of hydration out of your lips kind of product. I am really, really liking these. Also using the shade Mason on my cheeks. It is blurring, it is blotted, it is great as a cream blush. And if you want to see how it applies as a cream blush, make sure you follow me over on Instagram. I do have a lot of content that you guys never see on YouTube over here. So make sure you go follow me over on Instagram if you want to see that application. But anyway, I will leave a link down below to them. As always, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope the video was helpful. Make sure to, by the way, subscribe, because I am going to be doing like again, one of these kind of first impression and half reviews of the Makeup Forever HD Skin Hydro Glow Foundation. I told you guys the other day that I was going to be reviewing this because I was doing a first impression like wear test of it. And then I held it up and you guys are like, Amanda, I think that's the old one, not the new one. Well, yeah, you were right. I bought the wrong one. Thank God you guys caught that before I did. So I went into Sephora and I'm like, okay, I need to obviously pick up this one. I was looking at the shades and I was swatching them. And then I look at the display and I'm about to buy the same foundation again. It's like these brands that are coming out with like packaging that is so similar. Like the only thing they changed about this versus the other foundation was like the cap color. Anyway, now I'm just blabbing. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you're subscribed for that video, and I will see you in my next one.